Welcome to yet another episode of Little Modular. I'm really hyped today because I have another new offering from JORANALOGUE, one of my favorite, if not the favorite, modular Aurora company, which is just a beast. As you can see, it's huge, MORPH 4, a big module, but a big module that offers a huge amount of possibilities. I find it indispensable in my patches lately, and that's because this module takes a well-known concept to a new level, like with all the other JORANALOGUE modules. So what we have here is the MORPH 4, and this is a quad VCA, basically, with some extra functions, really nifty and useful functions. It looks a bit intimidating at first, and to be honest, I did not know what it actually was, which it often is a case with modules that do cross boundaries. So that's exactly what we have here, and that is because this module can be many things at the same time and can be at the verge of different functions. And it reminds me a lot of Surge modular, where you can patch modules differently to serve different purposes. And that is the case with MORPH 4. So this can be a quad VCA, but it could also be a 4-channel VCA controlled mixer. It could be a rectifier, slope modifier, interpolating scanner, a quadraphonic controller, interpolating distributor, complex wave shaper, and complex wave generator, and also a really flexible modulation source that could be super dynamic. As you can see, we have the main area right here, which are 4 VCAs. So each row, A, B, C, D, represents each VCA. By the way, it's a linear VCA. And each of those VCAs have precisely the same set of parameters and controls. This is a gain knob for a modulator. Here we have a position knob, which refers to this parameter right here, because you can interpolate, you can switch between those 4 different modulators with this master, so-called MORPH knob. So this sets the position of the modulator response in relation to the MORPH knob. Now, a response of each of the modulators is triangular, and we set the base of the triangle with this span knob. So the triangular response can be really sharp with this setting, or the base of the triangle can be wider up until the moment where the triangles, the responses, actually cross fade between each other, which you can see in the graphic. You will understand this better when I'll show you this with the audio signal, so you can hear it by yourself. So this is our imaginary triangle base, okay? Sharp tooth and then wide tooth. Now below we have in, right here, the first input of the first channel is normalized to +5, so you can use that as a source for independent sound generation, which I'll show you in a second. And each of those channels is normalized to the previous ones, so you can just inject something in input number 1 and it will be passed through to all the other channels. Below here we have the output, so all of these can be used independently, but you also have different options for mixing them, which are located here, and more on that in a second. Then we also have a level in, so we can control this knob with the CV. Same goes for the position, and the same goes for span, so we can control all 3 of them with the CV. Then we also have this beautiful LED, which again reminds me of the Surge system. Really nice big LED, which is used throughout all the other JORANALOGUE modules. And that's it. All of the channels have the same set of controls. On the right, we have a MORPH control. And up here is a set of LEDs, which refer to the position of each of the channels in the morphing axis. So imagine that this 7 o'clock position is a 0. Then the axis travels through the maximum, which is 5 o'clock. Now the same goes for the position right here. So this is 0 at 7, and this is the maximum. So now let's twist all of the knobs to the 0 position. With these knobs, I set where each of the modulators has its peak position, its maximum point, within this master morph line. So if I set this, for instance, to, let's say, 10 o'clock, and this one to 1 o'clock, and this one to 5 o'clock. Now, when I have a morph in this position, as you can see, I have the A shown here. Now, if I twist that, then I have the B right there, which corresponds to the same position on the B. If I go to this position, as you can see, I have a C. And in this position, I have a D. And of course, you can have a mixture of different positions. So I can set also this and this to the same position. And when I twist the morph, it will show me both of these. I can also modulate the morph knob with this input right here. And I have attenuator here. We also have a different mixing arrangements which are accessible here. We have the A plus B mixed outputs at this socket. We have the C plus D. These are mainly used for stereo operation. Then we have add and averaged. They do the same thing, so they add signals but in different ways. The add socket just adds all of the outputs at the unity gain, and the averager section lowers all of the outputs by 12 dB, so you can add some stronger level signals together without clipping. Really useful. Then we also have minimum and maximum outputs, which are a source of different surprises, especially in the realm of audio processing. One of my favorite on this module. Lots of different crazy timbres, which I'll show you later on. And that's it as for the operation and the main concept. Here is the promised explanation of the morphing feature, because this could be the potential source of confusion in my opinion. So let's focus on that first. What I have here is 4 different sources connected to all of the ins. So I have a different oscillator, a Rubicon on the first in, I have DPO on the second, on the third I believe I have the shapeshifter, and here I have interstellar radio. So 4 different sources. As you can see, position of each of the modulators is set to different positions. So 7, 11, 1, and 5. Now, if I increase the level on all of them, and I scan through them with the morph, I will hear different sources precisely at the position chosen here. So if I go here, I will hear the C. Of course, I can also set this modulator to the same position. So when I cross to this, I'll hear both of them. Now, that's the position. So I'm setting each of the sections to a different position on the morph axis. But now what about the span? What the hell is span? So let me show you. If I set the span to the minimum on all of the channels, if I morph through them, you can hear that they are active on a very short time. So most of the time they are not active. So the base is really narrow, okay? So they only appear for a narrow point in time. Now if I make it to the extreme on the other side, you can see that they are overlapping. So the base of the triangle response is wider, thus it's longer in the sweet spot. So if I increase it here, let's say, see, they are overlapping. But these two can be minimal. So you can actually use that as a really flexible performance tool, crossfading between different sources. And let me remind you that you can still modulate the level and position and the bass. It is really flexible, okay? So the first, most obvious and the simplest application would be a straightforward VCA. So let me just connect something in here. Let's connect a simple VCO. This is a VCO from my Rubicon. Now I have the beautiful Contour 1 by the same company, by JORANALOGUE, and I'm connecting this to the level in right here, and all I need to do is just use my mixer. So I'm connecting the output to my mixer, and yeah, let's set the level up, and yeah, that's it. And we have the simple VCA. You can see the LED activity right there. Okay, and you can have this on all 4 channels. So if I connect my other envelope, which is a delta V, to the second level in, then I have my other VCO, which is the DPO connected to the N right there. And let's use the AB out from here. Okay. And now we can of course use different outs with different results. Nothing stops us from using the minimum or maximum. Okay. And maximum. So what about one that is really fun and simple? I have my output from the add right there, and since the A modulator has the in socket normalized to plus 5 volts and it passes it through all of the other channels, I can use that as a source of different waves which will be interpolated, scanned through with the MORPH, especially if I do that in the audio range. So what I'm doing here is I'm just connecting again my Rubicon to the MORPH modulation socket and use different combinations to shape the signal. And also, let's not forget, of course, that we can still modulate each of the sections. So again, if I connect something into the position, okay, and maybe other one, let's say this one, okay, this could get interesting rather quickly, as you can hear. Instant drum machine for me. Okay? And we can of course modulate the span and input. Let's try span on this one. Okay. crazy stuff, okay? Insane amount of possibilities. We can use that to rectify some signals. As I mentioned, we have the minimum and maximum outs, which means that you can take the positive or negative part of the signal. What I have here is a signal from a DPO from the final output. And to disable the morphing, so it doesn't work, you put the morph to the counterclockwise position, all the position to the minimum, then the triangle to the max, and all the levels to minimum. And let's say we use the B channel where I input a signal from my DPO. So now I have the negative and the positive part of the signal. But now when I connect it to the max, I can use the first channel A level to set the separation line, I would say, manipulating this 0 to 5 volts, okay? I have different amounts of it. For a full rectification, you would just insert an inverted copy of the signal to the C channel and just set the level knob to the full as well. And that's the whole trick. If you won't input anything into the in sockets, you can use the outs, the spikes, to trigger different things in your system, with the spikes being outputted from the outs. I have connected the A and B outs to a VCA. This VCA was fed with two different signals. I believe it's DPO and interstellar radio. And on the third one, I have connected the out to the mutant snare. So I'm triggering a percussion module with it. And I have applied an LFO to the morph right here. And the span knobs set the width of the pulse, and position sets the position within the morph axis. And this is how it works. Okay, so I can now choose a different position, let's say for the percussion module. Okay, I can make the VCA opening wider or shorter. Of course, I can use the level knobs to change the level of the outgoing signals. And I can of course fiddle with the morph manually and change the offset with the attenuator right here to have different combinations of those signals. But the most fun I'm having with this module is as a modulation matrix router mangler. All the outputs from each of the sections is connected to the Generate 3, a fantastic oscillator by JORANALOGUE. Again, you can find a video on that on my channel. And I'm controlling 3 different parameters, which is the fundamental, even, and odd parameters. So A, C, and D are controlling these respectively, and the B is connected to the frequency modulation on my Orgasmatron filter. And as for the inputs for each of the sections, I have used just 2 LFOs and 2 envelopes. It basically allows you to create elaborate different sounds and switch between them, morph, hence the name of this module, within a twist of a knob. Let's hear it. So as you can hear, with just a few twists of the knob, we can have a lot of different sounds. And of course, changing the modulation sources as well as the width will change the results dramatically. And of course, it's a lot more fun if instead of the individual outs, we use some of the mixing options. For instance, I connected the A, B, and CD to different parameters from Generate 3, and then I have also used the maximum option to feed the filter. Let's hear it. Let's have fun with it. Ooh, yes. That's the home run right there. Just a few twists of a knob, and we have a really dynamic patch. So as you can see, this module is deep. I have just scratched the surface as I'm just starting to actually realizing what other possibilities are hidden behind it. Alright, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you like it and you found it useful. If so, please subscribe, please like, and spread the good word. Stay healthy. Bye-bye. Take care.